How's going guys, welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the Nephalem known as Divine Devil Maelstrom and got harem in Teen Titans. Huge shout out to Dark Naruto Senju for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Year 2008. Xavier's School for the Gifted Youngsters. A group of preteens were in a middle war zone facing a giant muscular metal humanoid with spikes running down its body, 2 gained horns on its head, a pair of bat-like wings, 2 thumb claws for hands, and 10 tails that swayed behind it. Its eyes were black with red pupils. It focused on a girl with light gray skin, light pink hair in the shape of a horseshoe, sticking out just a little bit at the tips with metallic black bands near the top. Her eyes match her hair color, with pupils shaped like a cat's. She was wearing a black long-sleeved dress with a violet-centered bands. The bottom of her dress is cut jagged about halfway down her thigh, with violet and black striped leggings under her dress, and black platform boots with violet soles. She was wearing a black collar with a violet charm on it. The beast shot a black and purple angry beam at the girl only to met with another beam of energy. The girl turned to see 2 boys and a girl. The first was a tan-skinned boy with spiky golden blonde hair with crimson tips and blue eyes. He wore a high-collar sleeveless black shirt, black pants and boots. The second boy was fair-skinned boy with clean-cut brown hair, and though his green eyes are hidden by his ruby quartz glasses. The last was the fair-skinned girl with short black hair, held by a purple hair clip and dark blue eyes. She wore a red raglan shirt with a cat logo on her chest, black capris, and a pair of black boots. She watches as the beams pushed against each other in a battle of power. The 3 was overpowered, and the boy threw both Scott and Sunny using his power as he blasted back several yards and bouncing off the pavement. Before hitting a cement barrier. 2 girls ran to his side. One had green hair, green eyes and wore a red shirt, violet pants and black shoes. The other had black hair and violet eyes and wore black armored clothing, metal-colored accents and a face-framing crown. The 2 dragged him away to the ash-skinned girl wearing a hooded dark blue cloak, matching dark blue ruffled ankle boots with blackish gray soles, and a long sleeve that is bluish-black with cuffs at her wrists of the same dark blue of her cloak and blue boots. She knelt down and began to heal his head. Another beam of energy came towards them as 2 girls ran past them. The first was a girl with pink hair, red eyes and 2 horns on her head, and wearing a white collar button-up shirt, a red skirt and white shoes. The second was a girl with red hair and green eyes. She wore a long black ribbed shirt that was decorated by a silver X medallion, black pants and boots. Before they could anything else a timer went off. As the war zone became pixelated, the 10 children stood in the center of a metallic room. The bald man in a wheelchair rolled in as the blonde boy sat up shaking his head and quickly winced in pain. "Okay, next time same the girl and let Bummer take the hit," the boy said with his left hand on his head where the pain was. "Do that and I'll blast you through the wall," Scott said getting from the ground. "Well, your plan went down the drain the second you pressed that button, Naruto," Sunny said, dusting herself off as she stood up. "How was I know the red button would activate the stupid robot?" Naruto asked looking at the Cyclops. "Hello. Red, green and blue are the 3 color meaning death traps for everything," Scott growled. "That's enough," Charles said. Both boys bowed. "Sorry, Professor Uncle." Charles rolled over to them. "It's quite alright, but you're still got a long way from becoming the team leader, Scott, and being at the level like your parents, Naruto," Charles said. "Now, both of you are still young, so mistakes are made. This is why we train so mistakes don't happen so much. I believe you all have homework to do for school." All them groaned but headed out. Naruto stopped at the door, letting the others pass. "Uncle Xavier?" Charles turned to the boy. "Yes, Naruto. Do you think Uncle Eric and Aunt Raven would come to my birthday party next weekend?" Naruto asked. "Sorry, Naruto, but even I can't answer that," Charles said as 12-year-old boy looked down at the floor. "But like me, they loved your parents as I did. They were legends, and just like me, they too believe you could be great just like they were, if not greater." Naruto nodded as he walked out the door and bowed to a woman as she walked in. "He's going to go far." Monroe said. Charles chuckled that he will, but even I fear the path he'll take to be so. So you know about Irene's prophecy about him. He's among the BOLM classification. Charles said. How can a 12-year-old be in that class? He's been in that class since his birth as both his were Alpha and Omega class metahuman and mutant. Charles said. Still can't believe they them his godparents. Monroe said. Kashina had a soft spot for pool and was friends with Tyla since they were children. Charles said. Still a little scary he'll be under their care after Saturday. Monroe said. Nothing I can do about as I was to watch him grow with love and light before sending through the hate and darkness of the world. Charles said. He's just a child, Charles. Monroe yelled. Yet you tested him in a war zone. Charles said. That's different. Monroe said. You know he looks up to you as his mother, and I know you see him as a son, but you need to let him go if not you're going to more harm than good. Charles said. Sometimes, Professor, I think your good heart blinds even you from the truth. Monroe said, storming off, leaving Charles alone. 4 years later. Outer space. Far away in outer space, a red spaceship out for a cruise. Its fuselage is in the shape of a large rounded disc, with a narrow spindle topped by a circular projection standing dead center on the upper surface. The bridge. Several spikes extend from the diameter on either side, while 2 larger ones point straight ahead to flank the main gun. On the ship was a closed steel door inside and the sound of a drawn-out muffled blood-curdling scream. It opens to expose a corridor, along which 2 winged reptilian humanoids with long tails march into the room. Each is armed with a long spear. The scream has trailed off into a feral growl and the pounding of distant fists against a wall, and the 2 creatures continue their patrol. Now they approach the closed door at the far end of the corridor, which opens to reveal 2 more posted at a steel-fronted cell with spears crossed. The screams come louder and more intense now. Being pounded hard by the very angry occupant is locked behind it, and only a small window slot allows visual contact between the 2 sides. The 4 Gordanians, now all standing at the ready. The door will hold. The first Gordanian asked. It must. The second Gordanian said as more hollering and banging came from the door. The alien will be delivered on schedule. Lord Trogger has commanded it. The third Gordanian said as the door tries to do the mambo. And if this thing gets loose, the fourth Gordanian asked. Then Zorg help us all. The first Gordanian said. Another piercing scream cracks the glass and 2 burning green eyes rise into view behind it. The guards take a few steps back, bracing themselves for anything and everything, and they get it when one last yell rings out and the door blows outward off its hinges. A steel panel crashes to the deck, the stunned foursome turn to the open door. In very slowly on the total blackness within the cell. After a very long second or 2, the eyes blaze up again and their owner steps out into the light. The figure was an incredibly beautiful and stunning female at 5'6", with straight waist-length fiery red hair with bangs. She wore black clothing, armored undergarments, metal-colored accents, a face-framing crown, her hands and forearms are encased in thick rigid cuffs connected at both ends. And she is, for lack of a better term, just plain boiling mad. This was Tamaranian Princess Coriander. Zengtha Rumaka. Kek Zengtha roar. Coriander said as she lunges at them. The manacled Tamaranian, charging on with a steadily building roar in her throat. When she gets within striking distance of the 4 Gordanians, a distinct height mismatch becomes evident, with her on the short end of it. However, this does not stop her from swinging both forearms in a wild roundhouse and knocking one of her captors to the wall. Zengtha Rumaka. Kek Zengtha roar. She said. Another big swing dispatches 2 more. She then tries an uppercut against the one left standing, but he blocks it with his spear and tries a counterattack. He gets nowhere with it, but she slips in a hit that breaks the shaft in 2 and follows it with a kick to the head. The now senseless enemy is driven into a control panel on the wall. As he slides down, red lights and sirens start up, triggered by the hit. Escavo. Coriander whispers viciously. From the exterior of the ship, a section of the lower hull blows apart while the fighter flies out through the smoke and flame. An instant later, she has put lots of distance between herself and the Gordanians and made a beeline for Earth. Jump City. Robin. Sirens wail in the distance. On the street a figure runs along the sidewalk and ducks into an alley. A close-up reveals a bulging sack in his hand. A burglar on the run from the police. He looks back toward the mouth of the alley, just in time to see the squad cars race past, and looks at the sack as he eyes it smugly and walks farther along. Before he can get 10 steps away, though, a shadow passes quickly over him. He stops. Huh? Burglar said, pulling out a crowbar and brandishes it uncertainly, looking up toward the sky and panning from one side to the other and back to the center. Something flashes down from the rooftops on this last movement and resolves into a bird errang. The burglar lost his hold on the crowbar when the projectile hits it. "I don't want trouble, okay?" Burglar stammered as he backed up. The 5-4 black blur drops behind him at the far end of the alley, and he turns to find a pair of pinpoint eyes staring at him from the shadows. They belong to a group large bats that fly towards the man with a great squeaking commotion. Throwing his arms up to protect his face, the burglar stands his ground as they flap past. The next voice, deadly serious, throws a whole new scare into him and turns to the source, mostly hidden in the darkness. "You should have thought of that before you committed the crime," a teen said, stepping into the light. He wore black domino mask, a red armored tunic with green short sleeves, an emergency R shuriken on his chest with a yellow stitching and belt, long black boots, green gloves, and green pants. He wore a cape that was black on the outside and yellow on the inside. "Hey. This isn't your town. Aren't you supposed to be with?" Burglar said. Moving closer, Robin smirked, "Just moved here. And from now on, I work alone." He advances implacably toward the burglar before sprinting. His high kick finds the chin and slides the burglar back 5 yards or so. The man runs back toward the interloper. Robin backs up a bit and blocks the wild punches arsing toward his head before delivering a chop to the breadbasket and a kick to the chest. Down goes the burglar, but the boy wonder does not let it rest. He bounds up a wall and pushes away for a boost upward. This move carries him over the criminal's shoulders and he grabs them for a solid body slam. Even this is not enough, as Robin drags the human punching bag up off the ground and throws him into the wall, where he slides down, half knocked out. The sound of something zooming overhead draws his focus away from the beatdown and a bright green streak slicing through the night sky above the buildings. It traces a narrow straight path parallel to the alley and disappears behind the buildings on the far side of the street. Well after it is dropped from sight, a muffled explosion is heard and the pale emerald glare plays up from ground level. The young hero's masked eyes narrow for a moment. He then regards the collapsed petty thief. At the end of the alley from which Robin emerged, the sound of a rope or lash whistling out briefly before he sprints off in this direction. The burglar is securely bound, hanging upside down, and with absolutely no clue as to what has just happened to screw up his night. Robin hoists himself over a wall at the dead end and was gone. On a rooftop. A figure wearing black hooded trench coat that stopped at his knees, a black t-shirt, pants, belt, gloves, and a white Pierrot-inspired mask that nearly conceals his face, leaving his lower half covered by a solid back mask. He was sitting on a rooftop while looking at the empty sky before looking down to the street. More precisely, the pizza joint on corner. As they watch, something smashed into the pavement, causing a very large crater emitting thick clouds of glowing green smoke, the crash site of whatever just buzzed the block. Several curious onlookers have stopped their cars and gotten out for a better look. In a closer shot of the crater, the smoke dissipates to reveal a female teenager at the center of the rubble. She stood with hostile face and burning eyes. "Slop for Nivert, Matt." She slides down the slabs and advances, scaring people off. "Slopfern. On Gudshik Zerl." He watched her with his eyes and smiles when she growls at a fellow holding his camera straight and taking a picture. When the shutter clicked and the flash gone off, she recoiled from the glare with her eyes squeezed shut. A moment later, she reopens them, still blazing as strongly as ever, and starts swinging her arms every which way with a fresh yell. Most of the onlookers back up even farther than they already have. She pounds the pavement hard enough to put a pothole in it, and an overhead shot of the area shows everyone now breaking for cover. The shackled newcomer charges at a man. A yell, a flash, and she has rendered an unfortunate taxi fit for the junkyard with one blow. Other strikes ruin a bank of payphones, a bench, and a streetlight or two, and several pizza joint customers stare from the relative safety of the second-floor balcony as it trembles under their feet. When the assault finally stops, Coriander stands quietly amid the havoc she has just wreaked this end of Jump City. Next she lifts her arms and strains to pull them apart, but with no luck. Evidently she had no malicious intent, but was simply trying to get free of those enormous cuffs. The figure sighed and kept watching her as several back blurs got pedestrians out of the way of her attacks. After a moment's rest, she looks toward the front door of the pizza joint. There is a pillar supporting the leading tip of the balcony. She hurls herself at this and hits it hard enough to buckle and crack it. Spectators at the railing can barely stay on their feet due to the resulting vibrations. Back on the ground where the column's concrete outer layer has crumbled away to reveal the dented steel core, but the alien's bonds are still intact. Zop. Yark. Mesnif. She yelled, swinging on each word. The column buckles farther and farther on each hit, and the last one causes it to give way significantly. With the support compromised, the balcony fractures along the edge where it joins the rest of the building. The people there are thrown to the railing as it tilts toward the street. However, the combined effect of all these bashes on Coriander's manacles is nil. She catches her breath and raises her arms for one more swing. Naruto sees a birdarang in flight. The light glints off one wing, the Tamaranian rushes forward, determined to free herself or die trying, and the airborne weapon bangs squarely into the side of her crown and knocks her completely off balance. Stopping near the column she has just pulverized, she glares back toward the source with a threatening little growl and a pair of eyes that could double as lighthouse beacons for their brightness. They turn to look on the roof of a parked car at the black spiky-haired deadeye who stopped her cold. With his arms tucked into his cape, which is draped around his shoulders. He throws it back and braces for action. "Who are you?" Robin asked. Instead of answering, she comes up into a leap that carries her all the way across the street, leading into an asphalt-wrecking downward swing. He jumps clear in the nick of time and touches down in a backward skid, but one roundhouse after another forces him to keep bobbing and weaving. As the fight works its way down the street. Just inside the mouth of an alley. A blue-cloaked figure, its hood up, stands and watches Robin leap high over Coriander and sling a handful of grenades. These explode in her face. Her impassive face is barely visible in the alley's shadows, but notice the matching dark blue ruffled ankle boots with blackish-gray soles, with a leotard-like long-sleeved shirt that is bluish-black with cuffs at her wrists of the same dark blue of her cloak. On her cloak, she has a circular black-red jewel set in a gold plate that attaches the whole thing together before look up at the rooftop behind her. He had two swords strapped to his back and gives the girl a wave before pointing his finger towards the street. Out the street, the smoke from Robin's grenades cannot quite hide the luminous green pinpoints of the fighter within it. The column evaporates to expose her fully. Close-up of Robin, whose eyes suddenly bug out in surprise as he gasps softly, then back to Coriander. Hooking one foot under the chassis of a nearby car, she effortlessly kicks it up several feet so that it rotates to point its nose toward the ground. When it is an inch short of splattering its innards across 20 yards of asphalt, she boots it toward Robin, who throws himself flat to avoid catching it with his face. The car sails in a low, level, lightning-fast trajectory down the block and explodes against the building at its end, and Robin stands up to eye the spot. Stronger than she looks. Robin said to himself. Raven looked up at sword wielder only for him to vanish, shocking her ad turn to see Robin facing forward, eyes popping again to see Coriander punch him hard across the jaw. A flash was all Robin saw and skids all the way to the trashed pizza joint, only to find her jumping in for another hit even before he can get to his feet. Nothing but air this time, as he dives away, pulls out his fighting staff, and extends it to full length. This time he is the one on the offensive, landing a headshot that propels his adversary into a car parked 50 yards or so away. He steps up and brandishes the staff again, but it suddenly crumbles in his hands, having been shivered by the crushing hit. Huh? Robin said, looking confused. The supremely furious Coriander extricates herself from the fresh wreckage, then throws Robin a malicious little smile while working her head around to loosen up her neck. "Zoda," Coriander said. She went for another jumping strike. Before she can reduce the boy wonder's skull to powder, though, a green bighorn sheep bounds into view and rams her broadside at full speed. The sheep turns into a boy about 13 years old and salutes Robin. He wore a black magenta outfit and black boots trimmed with magenta and a magenta gray hood and mask. "Ex-Doom Patrol member Beast Boy, sir. How can I help?" Beast Boy said, his eyes suddenly pop. "Wozers. You're Robin, aren't you, sir?" The sword wielder noticed he had let the salute slip in his excitement, but re-establishes it. "Well, you can start by not calling me sir," Robin said. The green youth's eyes have again gone as wide as saucers and are now shining with the purest admiration. Sparkles hover around his smiling face and that hand is still plastered to his eyebrow. "Well, let me just say that it's a real honor to be Robin," cuts him off. "Beast Boy, was it?" "Yes, sir," Beast said with a nod. Robin points off to one side. To Coriander, who has recovered from the bighorn charge and is straining to lift something over her head. Only Ro looked to see she had picked up a bus, which she slings toward the two boys. They bolt in opposite directions and are replaced by a broad figure in a gray hooded sweatshirt and black pants. The bus hurtles squarely into his face. Instead of being mashed into hamburger, the figure catches it and digs in its heels. Slowly but surely, the vehicle is brought to a stop and lifted by the bumper. The movement exposes the figure in enough detail to allow a positive ID. Although the sweatshirt's raised hood casts the top half of the face in shadow, the glowing red left eye gives it away as Vic Stone Aka Cyborg. One swift heave dumps the bus off to one side, throwing up plumes of dust that clear to fully reveal him and the dark gray gloves he wears. "Yo. Who's here messing up my neighborhood?" Victor calls out as Beast Boy slides up next to him. The said boy points ahead, "She started it." Vic looks at Coriander, standing amid the new stretch of debris and walking up after a moment's pause. The old resolve returns to her steps and face as she approaches, and she brings both arms up and delivers one thundering blow to the pavement. All three boys are nearly dumped flat by the tremors. Behind her feet, as the hand ends of the restraints fall free at last, dented and smoking. The forearms of her cuffs are still firmly locked on. When she points her hand straight ahead, the energy from her hands as starbolts flicker to life. The trio starts in surprise, whereupon Coriander comes out shooting her bolts into their position and throws up enough smoke to hide them entirely from view. One long, tense moment later, they charge out of the haze and she starts strafing the block. One by one, the boys race through the hail of green blasts, Beast Boy nearly getting his foot shot off in the process. Now Coriander's starbolts rip into the surrounding buildings, parked cars, a neon billboard, and everything within at least half a mile. The final salvo fills the street with smoke and flames, which drift away to expose her. After a few seconds to catch her breath, she slumps to her knees. Pulled back down the street, where Robin has taken cover behind the smashed bus, now set on fire due to the starbolt barrage. Beast Boy and Vic was hunkered down as well. "Girl's gonna wreck the whole city," Victor said. "I won't let her," socking his fist into his palm. "I won't lose this fight." They came out running, but get barely 10 yards down the street before a black energy barrier springs up to stop them. A gargantuan, screeching bird shape of Raven's soul self. Another wisp rises from the sidewalk behind them and resolves into her form. "Maybe fighting isn't the answer," Raven said. They turn towards Raven as she glances off to one side and dispels the apparition, leaving Robin with a clear view of the kneeling Coriander. Smoke is still drifting up from her hands where they touch the pavement as a hooded figure stood in front of them. "Stand down," the Pyro said. "What do you think, you the boss or something?" Robin demanded. The masked figure angers the teen and walks across the battle zone towards Coriander. Once he has closed in to within a few feet, she hauls herself up and swiftly moves toward him with fists charged. Naruto points to her restraints. "Octa." Coriander yelled. Yasui. Watashi nanamiha, watashi wa anata o kizutsukeru tsumori wanai. The figure said, Watashi wa tada tsukatai. She is close to the end of her rope, judging by her increasingly shallow breathing. There was the sound of a sword being pulled out. Gokta. She leans in, Gokta Puhavna. Her fists are now almost right in his face, but the steely vigilante does not even blink. What he holds up is a sword. Agemuta yo. Naruto said, looking into Corian's high-voltage eyes. His confident smiling face and raised hand. She cools off, her eyes and hands, as he gently pushes her arms down and with a quick slice. She looks down and as the shackles fall free and thump down between the two pairs of feet. For the first time, he can see every detail of the unsmiling countenance, half shadowed by her crown. Coriander massages her freed wrists wonderingly. There. Now maybe we can be. He gets no farther, as she drags him to herself with one hand. With the other, she pulls down the black mask covering his mouth and kisses him long and full on the lips, causing him to drop his sword. Her eyes have stayed closed throughout the embrace. When she opens them again, they have resumed their green glow. The next two things she does catch Naruto even more off guard than the kiss. 1. She pulls him closer and deepens the kiss as she slips her tongue into the kiss before shoving him the chest hard enough to make him take a step back. 2. She learns several languages, having instantly learned them from the kiss. If you wish not to be destroyed, you will leave me alone. Coriander said in English. Despite his generous act, she is still nearly as fired up as she was at the start of all this. She takes off, gaining enough altitude to disappear into the night sky. Leaving behind a very confused Naruto. He shrugs and puts his sword back in its sheath and pulled up his mask before turning to Robin, Beast Boy, Raven, and Victor, whom all are equally puzzled with a long silence, which Beast Boy breaks. The smiling Beast Boy turns to Victor, so. I'm Beast Boy. Who are you? Victor angers the teen, well, whoever she was. The girl sure knows how to make an impression. I think we made a pretty good impression. Beast Boy said, walking over to Robin. Crazy space girl's gone, the city saved, mission accomplished. Right, sir. Seriously, stop calling me that. Robin said, getting fed up being called sir. Beast Boy salutes Robin, Roger. Naruto smiled at Beast Boy's quirks. Looks like we're done here. I appreciate the help. Robin said, walking away. Please, you're acting like your $1 million playboy Batsy Dick. Robin turns to the Pyro mask wearer. You're gonna track down the alien? Raven asked, trying to defuse the situation. I have to find out if she's a threat. Robin said. Victor shook his head, more like find out if she'll give him kiss too. Beast Boy runs up to Robin. Hey sir. I mean Robin. Do you maybe? Robin looks down at the green teen. Sorry. I just went solo. I'm not really looking to join a team. He turns away. Beast Boy looks at Robin, need a sidekick. Doing nothing, so he turns back toward Naruto, Raven and Victor and gets an idea. You guys want to get a pizza? Beast Boy asked, giving a funny sidelong glance from Raven as Cyborg leaves. He slides up. I shouldn't. Raven said, heading off as well. So other time BB, Naruto said, running after Raven. I'm sorry to bother you, but do you know a cafe that's still open? Raven nods and leads the way as she watched the teen take off his mask once they are out of sight. Beast Boy looks toward Victor and runs over. Just you and me, then, huh? Cool. Beast Boy said, circling around him. I haven't really had anybody to hang out with since I quit the Doom Patrol. This is gonna be fun. Can we play video game? His last word is cut off when he runs flat into the back of the big man, who has suddenly stopped dead. A close-up profile of the hooded head, which he finally uncovers, then cut to behind him. The back of his cybernetic cranium stands revealed in full detail for the first time, and he turns to throw a healthy dose of irritation to Beast Boy. There. Take a good long look. I had an accident, and now, I'm a monster, all right. A cyborg. Victor said. Cyborg? Cool. Beast Boy said, jumping on Victor's shoulders. You're like Robotman 2.0. You're a weird little dude, you know that. Cyborg said flatly. Beast Boy has referred to one of his former patrol teammates, the half-ton android with a living brain implanted into its systems. After a bit more inspection, he dismounts and laughs a bit. "You called me dude." Cyborg puts his hood up and leaves. "Okay, so. See you later." "Right, dude." Beast Boy said. "Dude?" No answer, but he has no time to try again. A huge round shadow advances over the entire area and he looks up toward its source after a moment. "Dude." Beast Boy yells, looking up to the sky. The Gordanian ship from which Coriander escaped in the prologue has come looking for her. It passes over the city, then reaches the bay. The hatch opens on the underside, from which a large cylindrical capsule launches toward the water, and it embeds itself more or less vertically in the island's rock. A prominent flange encircles the upper end. "Looks like Space Girl has friends," Cyborg said as Robin running to them. "Or enemies," Robin said. The bolt of energy shoots up from the exposed end of the capsule and splits into two at the source. These sweep down to left and right and disappear as a colossal hologram appears between them. Though static ripples up and down, it can be discerned clearly enough as a Gordanian with a rather fearsome-looking crown helmet on its head. This is Trogger, the ruler who ordered Coriander to be delivered to wherever the others had been taking her in the prologue. "People of Earth. We come to your planet hunting an escaped prisoner, a very dangerous prisoner," Trogger said. Raven and Naruto joined them as well. "Do not interfere and we will leave your city with only minimal damage," Trogger said. "But if you attempt to assist her, your destruction will be absolute." His image disappears and the two split beams flash back up, merge together into one, and retract into the end of the capsule. The sound of machinery warming up. A hatch can be seen between the joined metal surfaces, running around the entire circumference. "That's a big ship," Cyborg said, looking at the ship. Just inside the hatch, which opens to give the massed Gordanian troops a full view of Jump City Bay and the shore. They glided out in all directions with the help of their wings. "And those are some scary-looking aliens," Beast Boy said. "We need to stop them," Cyborg said. "They told us not to interfere," Raven stated. Naruto smirked at her words. Several Gordanians flew low over the water as they caught up to the main body of soldiers. 16s. Robin finds himself on the receiving end of inquiring glances from the other three. "You're still going after her, aren't you?" Cyborg asked. "Can we come too?" Beast Boy asked. Robin smiles, "I suppose I could team up just this once." Smiles of varying widths from the others, after which all but Naruto and Raven set off. Raven looks at her feet with considerable trepidation. "You in?" Naruto asked. "If they knew what I really am," she said, completing the turn, "they wouldn't want me around." Naruto gently grabbed her hand, "They know enough." With her trademark hint of a smile, she turns to face him again. A figure wearing a yellow and blue helmet that vaguely resembles the shape of a cat's head with an all-black biker jumpsuit with black gloves and shoes, stood between two buildings, watched a squad of Gordanians flew past the full moon, and one steps up with a spear point being raked across a surface to slice it open, then pulled back to show its wielder atop a parked car, ripping the roof. He wrenches up the corner of the sheet metal. Pan across the street, where other vehicles are receiving similar treatment and worse. No sign of the fugitive is found, whereupon a line of troops directs the spears ahead and fires a fusillade of energy bolts. The junk in an alley is promptly blown to Kingdom Come, and one soldier jumps close to inspect the spot while another waits a short distance away. There is a brief exchange in their native tongue, which sounds something like a cross between a low moan and a horse's neigh, and the advanced man shakes his head. Nothing here either. The shooters leap up into the air. Behind them, Robin, Beast Boy, Cyborg, and Raven poke their heads out from a neighboring alley, with Naruto standing on the rooftop on one of the buildings. "All right. We need some way to track," Robin spoke quietly. "She's near," Naruto and Raven said. 3 puzzled stares came their way as a big sweat drop slides down the back of their head. "I can sense things," Raven said hastily. "Same, here," Naruto said. "I'll see if I can pick up her scent," Beast Boy said, doing a quick change into Bloodhound as he sniffed the ground. While he tries to uncover a lead, Cyborg rolls up the right sleeve of his sweatshirt, revealing the circuitry of that bionic forearm. "There's a sonic analyzer built into my arm," Cyborg said, looking at the display on it. He continues, "If she's around, I'll hear it." Giving a tap, the panel opens. Good. Robin Beast Boy resumes human form. "I've got her trail," Beast Boy said. He turns back into a canine and the forearm panel, whose display now shows the dancing spikes of a cardiac rhythm as it makes itself heard. "And I can hear her heartbeat," Cyborg said. They run off down the alley, which empties onto the next street over where a video store stood. The front entrance has been blasted apart and the edges of the jagged hole are still glowing red hot. Cut to the candy counter inside. The lights are out, indicating that the place is closed for the night, but Coriander steps into view nevertheless. Having shot her way in, she helps herself to a bucket of popcorn and sweets and licks her lips hungrily. The first bit of Earth cuisine she decides to sample is a chocolate bar. She bites down on it, the empty wrapper is tossed away behind her, next up comes the bucket, and an instant later it too has been cleaned out and dumped. Now Coriander proceeds to wolf down snacks fast enough to put any competitive eater to shame. The 5 young searchers approach cautiously. Beast Boy has resumed human form, and Cyborg has covered his forearm again. Those taste better without the wrapper," Beast Boy said with a sweat drop. Behind the famished escapee. She tips down a little more popcorn, wipes her mouth, and gives him a funny glowing look over her shoulder, before wheeling to face the quartet. A snarl escapes her lips as she warms up a starbolt in each hand, scaring 4 of the 5 quite a bit and eliciting a round of gasps. "It's all right. We're friends, remember?" Robin said. "Friends?" Coriander asked, advancing. Naruto stood his ground as the others backed away. "Why? For what purpose did he free me?" "Just trying to be nice," Robin said. "Nice? We do not have this word on my planet. Closest is Rutha," Coriander said with her turning green eyes. "Weak. Well, around here, nice means nice," Cyborg said, "and if you want us to keep being nice, you better tell us why the Lizard King took you prisoner." Full screen close up of her. She cools down hands and eyes, and the camera pulls back a bit. "Not prisoner. I am prize," Coriander said, looking at Naruto. "The Gordanians deliver me to the Citadel to live out my days as their servant." Naruto eyes widen at her words. "And the Citadel are?" Raven asked. "Not nice," Coriander said bitterly. Robin walked to her. "Then you're not going with them?" "Not if I have anything to say about it," Naruto said. Don't you mean we?" Beast Boy said. The spirit of fresh camaraderie was very rudely interrupted when something explodes, hurling everyone to the floor. When the smoke clears, several Gordanians are standing just outside a freshly blown hole in the wall. The 6 new acquaintances sprawled everywhere. "Seize her," a Gordanian ordered. The platoon charges in on feet and wings to carry out that order, and the gang of 5 rises to meet them. The 2 groups charge toward one another. Cyborg is first to get in some licks, followed by Beast Boy as a rhinoceros. One monster right hook is enough to prove just how much potential Coriander could have as a boxer, while Robin uses his staff to dent a few skulls. Raven, whose telekinetic powers assert themselves by hurling a gang of Gordanians backwards to Naruto, who killed them. In the street just outside the video store. A patch of wall explodes outward, upsetting any number of parked cars, and the solid jet of swirling dust clears to reveal Coriander backing up in midair. Her arms are crossed in front of her head, having been raised to block the hit that drove her through the masonry, and she lowers them to toss off a few amped-up sliders. 3 soldiers are flying up toward her. One is knocked down by her shots and another peels off, but the 3rd closes in for a fight at close quarters. It ends in a hurry with her being knocked straight down to the pavement out in front, which cracks badly under the impact as the hitter drops toward her. Coriander watched the Gordanian warming up the spear point for a blast to her head. Naruto and Robin was in a sword and staff to spear fight with another 2 Gordanians. The 2 teens throw a quick look in her direction. Robin pitches his enemy away with Naruto stabbing his in chest, bowling over the one that is her bracketed for good measure. Now the young royal warrior allows herself a smile, but the moment is cut short when two of her captors barrel towards Naruto. In a flash, Coriander is airborne again and charging straight at the pair. Naruto cuts the legs out from underneath one while she shoots down the other and gains a bit of altitude to continue the offensive. Here comes Cyborg, grappling with one of his own. The long tail whips around an ankle, and he is suddenly tumbled onto his back, a charged spear aimed right at his chest. He manages to roll out of the way an instant before its bolt tears up the blacktop, and a neat bit of acrobatics carries him clear of the next few shots. However, he immediately finds himself caught in a vicious crossfire that throws up enough smoke to hide him from view altogether. As the view clears, an extreme close-up of part of Cyborg's bionic limbs is revealed. The sweatshirt, pants and gloves have been blown to pieces, exposing his new and improved self from head to toe, and he throws an angry look straight ahead before jumping back into action. Gordanian blasts sing out as he pulls back one fist. It comes down exactly on the shooter's spear shaft and snaps it like a twig. Next, he lifts the enemy high overhead and hurls him into a flying squad to ruin whatever is left of their day. The salvo aces into the street, working its way toward him. A fresh trio of Gordanians on the wings. Their offensive has the cybernetic teen off balance for a second before he is airlifted out by Beast Boy, who has become a pterodactyl. As the pair sail past, a streetlight is pulled loose under Raven's control. Concentrating hard for an audience of Robin, Naruto and Coriander. The pole swing knocks all three foes out of the park. Down the street, which is now littered with prone and tumbling Gordanians, and stop on a great many upright troops at the end of the block. Most of them lift off. The few stragglers direct a pained look at the teens, is it too late to go AWOL? Before following suit. The group is not moving to attack, but instead bailing out with their hides still in one piece. At the scene of the free-for-all, the five victors gaze up after them, Beast Boy in human form again. "I believe your expression is thanks," Coriander said. Cyborg eyeing his shredded clothes. "Aw, man, my suit. So? You look way cooler without it," Beast Boy said. "Yeah. Like I'm taking fashion advice from the guy in the goofy mask," Cyborg said. "Goofy? My mask is cool. Isn't it?" a crushed Beast Boy said looking at Raven. She and Cyborg shake their heads grimly at the green teen. Beast Boy pulls at the bottom edge of his mask, but what about my secret identity? Cyborg has shed his tattered civvies. "What secret identity? You're green," Raven said. MMM. Oh. Beast Boy said thinking very hard before pulling off the headgear, and Robin, Naruto and Coriander crossed to the trio. "This isn't over," Robin said. "Now that we've interfered," Naruto said. "Trogger will strike harder. It is only a matter of she cuts herself off." The beams from the island-mounted communicator flash into the sky and Trogger's static distorted image towers over the skyline. The teens turn to it. "Fools. The Earth's scum were warned. Your insolence will be punished. Your city shall be destroyed," Trogger said. As a fearful crowd stares up at the projection, it flickers out and the ship sails in. The main gun in front. It angles itself downward, the broad muzzle glowing at its center, and warms up. At ground level, all 6 fighters are trying to sort this out. "Great," Raven said. "So, after trashing a pizza place and a perfectly good video store, now we've managed to make a humongous space gecko mad enough to vaporize our entire town," Beast Boy said. "Go team," Cyborg said sourly. Coriander turns to Robin, her head grows. "All the fault is yours. I commanded you leave me alone, but you insisted upon the being nice." Her head shrinks. His grows. "My fault you blast me," his head shirks as sparks fly between their eyes, "but you never stop to mention that they have a gigantic particle weapon." Beast Boy, Cyborg, Naruto and Raven. A shouting match between the previous pair is heard by one quiet teen and the smirking teen. "We are doomed," Beast Boy said turning to Cyborg. "I can't believe I let you talk me into this." Cyborg looks at the green boy, "Say what? I was ready to walk before you." Raven has begun to concentrate as best she can by this time, and now she speaks up. "Quiet." Her yell echoes in the silent street and shuts everyone else up very quickly. 4 pairs of angry eyes are turned her way for some moments before she comes up with any more words. Raven waving timidly hi. Hi, Naruto said, making Raven blush. Look. It doesn't matter how we got into this mess. We're in it and we will get out of it together. Robin said. Coriander, who nods in agreement, and Cyborg and Raven as they do likewise. Beast Boy, whose mouth has curved up into the mischievous smile. Naruto shirred. If we do this we'll need one more member. Naruto said. Who? Beast Boy asked. How about me? A female voice said from the shadows. Steeping into the light was a female teen with well-endowed chest, her head is shown to have brown hair and blue eyes. Yellow and blue helmet that vaguely resembles the shape of a cat's head, wearing an all-black biker jumpsuit with black gloves and shoes. Come on. We've got a city to save. Naruto said. The hovering ship, main gun pulsating barrel inside, a parallel catwalk Gordanians rushes along it. After they have cleared out, a large bubble of Raven's black energy arises from the surface and dissipates to expose the 7 heroes to be within. Beast Boy shivers noticeably, not being used to this mode of transport. That dark energy stuff gives me the Beast Boy stops talking as Raven edges closer to give him a slightly annoyed glare. Beast Boy smiles broadly giving a thumbs up. As sweat drop pops off his head, I mean, it's cool. A nervous little laugh follows this. Now the Gordanians hustle away around another bend and Robin pokes his head out from a doorway. Robin softly whispers. We have to get to the firing controls. He steps out. There isn't much time. Coriander is the first out after him, then Beast Boy and Cyborg. Raven emerges with both Naruto and the biker girl well behind them all but don't follow. Tiptoeing as quietly as he can, the changeling throws a look back at her over his shoulder while he follows the gang toward the end of the passage. Raven, who closes her eyes and drops her head as if she has just lost all hope. Naruto gently lifts her head, mind telling me why you're always by yourself? Raven turns her head, you heard the kid. I don't exactly fit in. Naruto puts his hand on her shoulder, points to Beast Boy, he's green, points to Victor then to Coriander, half of him is metal, and she's from space. You fit in just fine. What about her? Raven asked. Celty pulls off her helmet to show she has no head, freaking out the 5 teens. I'm a Dullahan. Celty said as Naruto smirked. The message seems to strike the right chord and she allows him to ease her off along the passage after the others. Now Robin and Coriander stop at another corner. I bring you. Apology. Coriander said. Robin turns to her, don't worry about it. I'm sorry I yelled, too. Coriander smiles. And again, you are. Nice. On my world, only my Knorfka has shown me such kindness and one other from a world similar to this one. Well, things are different here. Robin said. She blushes a bit before the passage fades into view behind her, exposing the rest of the crew. Guys. Beast Boy pointing past her, I think they know we're here. A squad of charging troops, and rather angry ones at that. Cyborg and Raven at the rear, they have turned to face back the way they came, and another Gordanian leaps into view with a screech. The exterior of the ship as the weapon warms up, on the panels graphs light up to mark the rising power levels. After they have topped out, 2 crewmen manning the helm on the bridge. After adjusting the controls, one of these 2 turns in his seat to address this area. Lord Trogger. The Gordanian called. The weapon has reached full power. The captain's chair swivel around on the platform. Then begin the firing sequence. Trogger ordered. The helmsman did so. The monitor displays a schematic of the ship. The graphics fade away and are replaced by a circle of characters in the crew's language, with another one at the center. Zoom in slightly as the peripheral marks begin to disappear one by one, starting at the top and working counterclockwise. This is the countdown timer. The Earth's scum shall learn. Trogger said, standing up. It takes more than 7 juvenile heroes to defy the mighty Lord Trogger. From the observation windows in front. The weapon's barrel points straight ahead from here, and rings of light flick on from the base forward. Trogger smiles grimly at the destruction he is about to unleash and pull back to frame the soldiers guarding him. An instant later, the door directly behind him is blown inward with terrific force and a screenful of smoke, which clears to show Robin. "We're not 7 heroes," Robin said. "We're one team," Naruto said, hovering in front of the main gun before beam of angry at the gun and destroying it. Draugr ditches his triumphant smile in favor of an enraged growl, and in a twinkling every spare deckhand is on the move. Robin leads the charge for his side and gets in the first hit, a flying kick that nearly snaps a scaly neck. Cyborg slams both fists to the floor, throwing out a sheet of energy to blast others off their feet. Next, Beast Boy, as a kangaroo, kicks 2 in the gut full force. Coriander delivers a supercharged uppercut that sends her enemy crashing to the deck, after which the camera cuts to Beast Boy in human form. He turns back into a marsupial, just in time to kick one Gordanian away and lash another with his heavy tail, then becomes himself again. Draugr leaps in close, smashing both arms against the deck close enough to send him flying backward with a yell. The only thing that stops his momentum is an inconveniently placed wall. He slides down it and ends up on the floor in a heap. The Gordanian lord charges again, roaring and all set to beat him to a pulp, but Raven pops up from the floor and throws up a small shield. One punch after another whumps into it as she backs up slowly toward the wall, and her knees buckle, and he finally batters through the defense and prepares to flatten them both. Once again he is foiled, this time by Robin leap onto his shoulders. The surprise attack leaves Draugr stumbling backward past an underling who has locked up with Cyborg. After some moments, Robin is wrenched free and hurled across the deck. He manages to turns the tumble into a flip and land in a crouch. It takes him only the fraction of a second to leap back into the fray and deliver a crushing left jab that rocks Draugr off his feet. Even before the latter can hit the floor, he is bashed in a different direction by a steel-soled spin kick, and Robin instantly starts into a new move for the coup de grace. Now it is his turn to be caught out when the massive hands wrap themselves around his midsection, and he is hurled past Coriander into the far wall behind the captain's chair. She voices a shocked gasp upon catching sight of him. "Robin!" Coriander yelled. No time to worry about him further, for the snarling Draugr is on his way across the deck toward her. Warming up as she lifts off, she lets go with a string of shots that tears into the deck on the way toward him. He is lost under the glare and smoke for a moment, but leaps out of it intact and madder than ever, and bears her to the floor. That giant hand lifts her high and slams her down again. She struggles to break his hold for a moment, then squeezes off a body blow starbolt that forces him to drop her. As he backs up cautiously from the one-time prisoner who has turned out to be far more trouble than she is worth, Kathy rushes across from a pile of dead Gordanians. The scythe lands a devastating hit to the boss's jaw, and the scythe wielder lands in front of Coriander, so both can move in together. Draugr takes a merciless flurry of high-octane punches and cuts to all his sore spots, but even this is not enough to put him out of business. He comes back with a 1-2-3 combination that sends both aspiring pugilists across the bridge toward the still-prone Robin. Cyborg slams right arm. As it hits the floor, the panels of the built-in sonic analyzer are jolted open for a moment. 3 peel themselves up, the circuitry receiving special attention. "Can you rewire that into some sort of weapon?" Robin asked. "I can try," Cyborg said. Before any of them can react, Draugr and the still conscious Gordanians have moved to hem them in. Pull back slightly, the Lord had a savagely grin on his face. "Get away from my friends," Raven said menacingly, before chanting, Azarath Metrian Zinthos. On the last word, cut to the exterior of the bridge. Her spell causes most of it to disappear in a mighty explosion, after which we see a long shot of the craft, now out of control and plummeting toward Jump City Bay. The waves caused by its splashdown wash over the screen and recede to show only the demolished bridge still above water. As it begins to sink, cut to the now exposed deck, littered with dead Gordanians. Robin, Cyborg, and Coriander straighten up as Draugr gets up as well and whirls to face the team of heroes. Beast Boy and Raven find themselves in his broad approaching shadow, and he extends the claws on one hand to full length and lifts that hand, all set to disembowel the youths. Once more, though, his masterstroke is stopped cold in this case by a brilliant blue-white flash from behind that connects squarely with his back. Down he goes like a ton of bricks, exposing the other three in the background. Cyborg's right arm is raised to point straight ahead, its hand replaced by the muzzle of his now familiar sonic cannon, as Naruto had smoke coming off his index and middle finger. Cyborg was able to rewire or hotwire that analyzer into something with quite a bit more kick after all. Cyborg powers down. "Alright, I'm only gonna say this once." Grinning he shouts, "Booyah." The Gordanian landing craft still dug in. It is now the following morning. Robin, Kathy, Beast Boy, Cyborg, Naruto and Raven on the island's shores. There is no other visible trace of Trogger's invasion fleet. "That's quite a view," Raven said. "Somebody ought to build a house out here," Cyborg said. "Yeah, if you like sunshine and the beach," Naruto said, smiling at Raven, and he digs an elbow into her side. Laughing softly, Raven looks at Naruto. "You know, you're kind of funny." Beast Boy gets stars in eyes. Ears perk, "Dude. I know some jokes." Those last 4 words are enough to unnerve her considerably, start a sweat drop sliding down her temple, and set one eyebrow twitching a bit. Toward the central part of the island. A pair of violet boots lands near them. "Please," Starfire said as the small group turned around. Seeing he wearing a violet outfit, lavender accents, armband, with no crown or under armor, and having a much sunnier disposition. Coriander looks at the group. "I look nice." "I still don't know your name," Robin said. "It's Coriander," Naruto said, taking off his mask showing his blue eyes and red bangs in the front. "But in your language, it would be Starfire." "Starfire. Welcome to Earth, Starfire," Robin said. "I thank you all for your bravery and help, and I wish to ask permission to remain here," Starfire said, looking at Robin but turns to Naruto. "Where the people are most strange. But also most kind. You don't need our permission," both Raven and Kathy said together. "But if you want our friendship, you've got it," Robin said. "Guess we could all use some new friends," Cyborg said. "Besides, we kind of made a good team," Beast Boy said. "I thought we might want to keep in touch," Robin said, fishing into his belt, "so Cyborg and I designed these." Spread across his palms are 5 round yellow devices that are instantly recognizable as communicators. Beast Boy, Raven, and Starfire each take one and run an impressed eye over them. Naruto shrugs and takes the last 2 and hands Kathy her. Cyborg looks at the group. "Made 'em out of my own circuits. When there's trouble, you know who to call," Robin said. As the 7 heroes stood looking at the ocean. The end.
Now watch daily exclusive and censored lemon stories and mature content, along with NSFW images, featuring harem girls characters from the fics. Access all this and more on my Patreon. Click the link in the description to explore.